Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pandemic University podcast. I am your host again, Bryson Berry, Bryce the man, Bryce whatever I'm going to call myself today. I am on with Haris. He's first year here at Mac, just arrived from Pakistan, if that's correct.
Yep, Pakistan.
Yep. He's going to, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell everybody who you are, what's going on.
Right, so I'm Haris Ahmed. I'm from Pakistan. I'm also a first year representative, and I just got here a couple of weeks ago. I'm intending to major in CS and Econ, and I'm currently living in Dupree, a Duprison.
The Duprison. Do you have a Dupringle or?
It's a Duprison, that's what I call it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good. That's good. Yeah, welcome. So, we tried recording this episode before, and it went all right, but there's some complications, so we're gonna try again. There's Haris, you're super. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You're super interesting. You've done a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to go back to just have you share a little bit about sort of your interest as far as STEM, as far as entrepreneurship, as far as coding and things like that. So, let's start with your sort of entrepreneurship. What's that been like? Or I guess where did it all start?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. And it started off very randomly, somewhere in about 10th grade. It was the senior who had this opportunity to go to MIT Enterprise Forum, which is a boot camp. And he had his college applications due. So he was like, I can't go there anymore. And it's not that beneficial to me if you want to join in. And it was just that one night text. And I said, okay, I'll sign up. Went over there. Was a totally new, eye-opening experience, met amazing people, got introduced to entrepreneurship, like what is it, met some really venture capitalists over there in Pakistan, got to see the entrepreneurial circuit, and then one thing led to another, and that's how it all started.
That's awesome. So with the competition, the whole thing, what was the entrepreneurial endeavor that you took on?
Right, so I went over there without an idea, and the whole purpose of the bootcamp was to formulate an idea, make it feasible for the market, figure out the logistics, and then be something that you could actually launch. Over there at the bootcamp, I was the youngest person. I met these 3 university undergrads, and they were working on a problem which was so unique, and I had figured, and it was so personal to me somehow, I just had to become a part of it. The problem they were working on was medication errors, and if you want later on, we can dive later into what that startup did. But that was the thing. We were trying to solve medication errors in the healthcare system through technology and artificial intelligence. Okay.
And yeah, with this, did you place? Did you win? What ended up happening?
We won first place in the competition, which was just amazing.
Yeah, that's dope. I remember, so back when I was a junior, I was also in a business competition with my graphic design group. We were called Focus. And that name, it's a funny story about that name. We meant to change that for years, but we could never come up with another idea. So it's just Focus until I graduated. Yeah, we went to a business competition trying to pitch an idea for a sort of a marketing group, which is what we, branded ourselves as. And we ended up getting third there. And funnily enough, the people who got first were also doing a entrepreneurial idea in the healthcare sector. Right. So, yeah, they ended up winning and going to Australia to do a even bigger business competition.
Interesting.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. So,
when you talk about design and a marketing group, I'm reminded of this new startup. And it's not new, it's a couple of years old. It's called GUV Consulting. Mm-hmm. And basically they're basically the idea that you just said. They were a group of Gen Z people in university, and they were like, a lot of marketing for these brands is now targeted for the Gen Z. And that's what we're going to do. We have graphic designers. We have some really smart people who know advertisement. Yeah. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to design content for big brands to target this demographic.
It's good stuff. It could totally work out. It's just, obviously there's, when it comes to a competition, there's bigger things.
Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah, tell me a little more about this sort of healthcare initiative. You said it was a problem with people and their medications.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of people don't know this, but the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States, which kills 250,000 people every year is medication errors. And once I describe medication errors to you, you're going to be blown away that it's such a simple problem, which we don't know how to figure out. It is taking your medicines at the wrong time. It is taking the wrong dosage of your medicine. It is just skipping a medication. It is taking a wrong medicine. Just these 4 things cause 250,000 deaths in the US and even more in the developing world.
That's ridiculous.
And the whole purpose of medication errors is these are totally preventable things. You can prevent someone from taking a wrong medicine. You can prevent someone from you can actually have someone take the right medicine at the right time. That is totally doable. Right. But it's still causing, and that is what we were tackling. And the thing was, this was so personal to me was, my dad was in the army and we were used to be in these remote places. And I remember an incident where my grandmother, she skipped a medication, and she took double the medication in the second time that she had to take a medicine. That led to her throat inflammation, and it got so serious we had to go to a hospital 40 minutes away to have a surgery, and she couldn't speak for 30 days. So I had seen how this problem was there firsthand. And what we were basically doing was we were using artificial intelligence to remind people of when to take their medicines. So if you were the caretaker or you were the patient, you would have an alert or a text message, just a notification to tell you it's time for medication. And then we had a very unique problem when you go into the market. It was these old people didn't know the name of the medicines that they had to take. They had labeled it with either a marker or a color of the tablet they were going to take. And then that is what we used to do. We used to personalize these messages. You have to take 2 tablets of the green medicine. That is the text notification we would use to send out to these people. Yeah. And so that is the one way we were doing that. The other thing that the startup was doing was digitizing health records. So in Pakistan, what used to happen, if you go to the physician, you would carry around this much of a file of your medical history. So the doctor knows what you're on and what you've already taken. And that was so laborious. And that itself used to cause a lot of errors because you miss out a paper, a prescription, and then what, right? Yeah. And then what the startup was doing was digitizing that into just one QR scan and the entire medical history.
Yeah. No, oh my goodness. That's one of the processes I think I hate most about sort of getting medical records and things like that is all of the sheets of paper and then trying to go through like, okay, wait, which page has the medicine I'm supposed to take? Which page has this? Which page has that? Like, I mean, I know I'm younger, so I'm supposed to, in theory, that's supposed to be easier, but no, simplifying that process. Yeah, absolutely. That would help me. So, and then I'm 18. So I'm positive, the effect that would have on an older population would be huge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you sort of took your entrepreneurial idea and integrated that with artificial intelligence. You seem to know a lot about coding, or at least enjoy that sort of thing. Do you want to tell me more about how you got into that and what else you're doing with that, if anything?
Right. So this was my first introduction to basically the power of code.
Yeah.
Like how powerful code could be. And so first of all, when you have an idea, you don't know if it's good or bad. Yeah. Once someone gives you that validation, once you start getting customers, then that is the time okay, this is something that might work. And that was the time when Microsoft chipped into the startup and when they gave us the funding. That was the time, okay, this is something to take forward. And starting off from that, what the startup ended up doing, it grew up. We had a pilot project. We partnered with the government in Pakistan, but what we realized was the tech infrastructure in Pakistan wasn't as developed to have that technology available yet. The other alternative market we focused on was Germany. So, and that was the time when the startup was like, okay, so that was the decisive point. I was in my senior year. I could have either followed the startup or I could have gone with high school and college and the regular road.
And you chose college.
I chose college. The traditional way.
You don't leave the startup behind.
So, and that is the time I super got into. I was like, okay, I love that opportunity. I need to know how this world works, the programming, computing. And that's the time I started getting more into artificial intelligence because I think that is the big thing that is going to revolutionize computing. Yeah. So that is my introduction.
That's awesome. So the startup is still going then, huh?
Exactly. It's in Germany right now.
Yeah. And you could have been working in Germany. I could have saw your name on a billboard. I would have had no clue who you were.
We don't look back.
Yeah, that's cool though. That's cool. Yeah, that's So cool to see. So yeah, you said you're gonna major in computer science while you're here. What languages can you code in already?
I
Just
can do
curious.
Python and Java.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. I tried learning Python over the holiday. My like logic brain, it gets to a point and then it just stops and it's like we're done. That's enough for me.
One of
So
the most interesting challenges that is coming up in computing is actually making sense of logic now. Computers can make logic, but at a certain point, that logic works in negative ways because not everything is black and white. A lot
that's
of
fair.
gray cases are popping up, especially with fake news, misinformation.
Yeah.
That is an entirely gray area. How do you identify which source is good or bad? Now, good or bad is a philosophical question which has been going on
Yeah.
forever.
Too much epistemology there.
Exactly. So I would say that is a popping area.
Yeah, that's a crazy, interesting area. Oh my goodness. That's a lot for these big guys to cover. You know, I want to segue a little bit and I'll come back to this. One of the reasons that I wanted to have you on and talk to you and interview is because like, your Instagram presence and sort of some of the projects I saw you take on. And I was like, oh, this stuff is cool. So you have an account called TLDR, which is a news account, which is like what really piqued my interest and made me go, I'm going to bring this guy on. So, yeah, tell me what made you start that and how that's going.
Yeah, so that was also like one of the random projects that popped up. It basically started off with the entire media. The way you get information has changed.
Right.
It's become shorter. With TikTok, you know that. With Instagram stories, everything. The content you're consuming is a lot short, to the point, and pointy. And the news and information that you get from news channels and news websites has not changed. It's still 11 signs times New Roman that you're going to get in 4 margins, that is just a pain to read. And that is what the problem I was tackling, because my dad used to say, you gotta read the newspaper, but I was like, this is not read worthy, right?
Yeah.
And exactly that is what happened. So what TLDR basically does is it gets the news. Basically now we're focusing on economics or business news, but what it does, it gets the news, covers it in 5 bullet points or less, and it just provides it to you in 5 bullet points. So you have that entire 400 word story in 5 bullet points. Quick information, digestible.
Have you considered an app for this?
Exactly. So, I mean, that is the next step. What we're going to do is we're going to use artificial intelligence to automatically summarize these large news articles. Right now, we're training the model and we're doing it manually, but that is the goal, to have it trained to such efficiency that it can take a news article and give you 5 bullet points.
That's interesting. So how are you like getting this algorithm to do that? Is it looking for certain words or phrases? Or?
That is how it will work. Right now, it's just manually. We humans try to pick out the main points and summarize them. When it moves on to the artificial intelligence model, it picks out certain keywords, certain action words, and then makes sense of the words that are around those words. And basically appoints a value to the words around the action word. And that's how it constructs the sentences and gives you the bullet points.
Oh, that's sick. That's
very
really smart.
Intricate. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really smart. Okay. I hope people listening understood that. I got that, but I'm curious if I'm curious if other people understand that. No, I definitely like coding, even if it's not something people want to necessarily do. I think, or programming and things like that. I think just getting a small baseline knowledge of it is something that I don't know everyone should look into just a little bit. Exactly. It helps you understand how things. It's funny, right? With so you know how Facebook and Twitter they went to court here in the U.S. recently about essentially. Well, I know Facebook went initially for selling people's data to Cambridge Analytica. That was during the 2016 election, and then Facebook and Twitter went back recently because of privacy issues that they were having on their social media platforms, and a lot of people are up in arms because they're like, all of these websites are taking all our personal information. What I think is weird is like if people knew how they worked and sort of, you know, what they were getting into prior to just signing up to the website, they know that like Facebook and Twitter aren't doing any more than they're being allowed to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's no back end crazy like hacker level programming that's going into this sort of thing. It's just like it's written into their model. And so from there, you know, if you have a baseline understanding of that, I mean, you can get not only how they sort of target things to you, but almost, you know, okay, maybe if I don't want all my data here, I won't sign up for this.
Yeah.
Same thing with all these bigger platforms. So I don't know. I think that's all really interesting stuff.
It's interesting you bring that up. I actually just read an article the other day, and it's not even about Facebook and Twitter.